Welcome to the Open to Hope Show. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Horsley, with my daughter and co-host,
Dr. Heidi Horsley.
These shows are brought to you by the Open to Hope Foundation as well as the Compassionate Friends. Well, Heidi, we've got a very interesting show today, and we get a lot of people coming on. You want to introduce the topic, Heidi?
I do, yes. I like the topic today because I think there's a lot of positive. I think a lot of times when people lose children and siblings, they don't feel like they're ever going to find hope again. Mm-hmm. They don't feel like there's any light, and they feel like that their world is basically over. And these parents here are here today to tell us that your world isn't over, your life isn't over. You are going to go into the next chapter of your life, but you can reinvent yourselves, and you can keep a major connection with your deceased child.
And you can take it on to your other deceased family members, not just children.
Absolutely.
But they will tell you how they have taken it on to stay connected with their deceased kids.
And I'm excited about it because I want to learn more about how to connect with Scott. Mm-hmm. I feel connected, but I want to learn even more how to do that. Mm-hmm. And our show is going to be called Spiritual Experiences and the Afterlife. And we have 3 guests here today.
Mm-hmm. Want you introduce them?
Okay.
Elizabeth there.
Boisson. Is that how I say it?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. She founded Helping Parents Heal. We're going to talk a lot about that organization today.
And the other 2 folks are on the board.
Okay, we've got her 2 board members, yes. Irene Volvadis.
And she is from, how did you say the last name?
How do you say
Vovalitis.
Vovalitis. Okay, there we go. I knew I was going to mess it up.
And she's from Hilton Head.
Yes,
South Carolina. Flew all the way. We're doing this in Tucson, Arizona.
Very good.
And she's flown all the way in to do this because she is with a fabulous organization, Helping Parents Heal. And we'll be talking about that.
And then Ernie Jackson. Let me tell you a little more about the 3 of them. So Elizabeth basically does all this in honor and in tribute of her son Morgan, who died at the Mount Everest base camp of severe altitude sickness. Wow. He went to University of Arizona. Go Wildcats! And he was a football player. And was he a cheerleader?
He was a cheerleader in college and a football player in high school. Yeah.
I've never heard of going from football player to cheerleader. And he was this big guy.
I didn't want him to play football, actually.
And you were
in college. I was worried about that. So turns out that cheerleading is actually kind of dangerous too. But
I think that is a riot because I looked at him and went, "Wait, he's a cheerleader? Wait." Anyway, I think that's great. I think it talks a lot about who he was as a person, very full of energy and life and positive. And then Ernie, who was in the middle of these 2 women. His son Quinton died in a car accident. He's darling, and we're going to have pictures of them. Very, very cute.
And he's written a couple of books, Heidi.
Oh, good. Yes, let's talk about
that. Quinton's Messages and Quinton's Legacy.
Wow.
So, 2 books.
Quinton is adorable.
Yep.
I love those.
Yep.
And we'll talk a little bit about those. And then Irene, she does all of this in honor of her daughter Carly, who died of a very rare form of esophagus cancer, right?
Esophageal gastric cancer, yes.
Wow. And she was treated at Columbia Presbyterian, and since I am a former New Yorker, and still a New Yorker actually, I said this is the best you could get. She was the best care ever. I work at Columbia, so you were really getting the best help.
How old was she?
She was 24.
Wow.
How old were all your kids?
Morgan was 20. He was almost 21.
Yeah.
And Quinton was 9.5.
9.5. And Quinton was killed in an automobile accident.
Yeah, it was a car accident.
All right, so we've got this organization, Helping Parents Heal, and that's a very interesting organization. Tell us first how it came about.
Well, thank you. First of all, I'd like to say I'm the co-founder. We have another founder, Mark Ireland, who actually is in Seattle, who used to live in Scottsdale, whose son also transitioned on a mountain in the McDowell mountain range. But
So you use the word transition rather than died?
We usually do, just because of the fact that we don't believe that our kids have died. They're still here with us, and we feel very, very strongly about that. But it's fine to use either.
Yeah.
But I like the word you do to use different language, and I think it is important because language can be very powerful. So you use the words transition. Mom, before the show, I was saying that you guys are all bereaved parents, and they said no, we don't look at ourselves that way. So talk about that word as well. What word did you use? It was a different word.
We use the word shining light parent.
Shining light parents.
Yes, we do. I feel strongly that in the beginning, yes, we are bereaved parents. And as we all know, it's a process. But I don't consider myself bereaved. And Suzanne Giesman, who is our dear friend and very involved with helping parents heal, we had a conversation with her, and she came up with the name Shining Light Parent.
Oh, let's use this moment to play a clip by Suzanne Giesman.
I like that idea.
Because she's going to be talking about how wonderful Helping Parents Heal is. And let's show that clip now.
I have no doubt that once Tracy is healed enough, she will go on to lead a chapter of my favorite charity, Helping Parents Heal. And I'm so pleased that the co-founder of Helping Parents Heal, beautiful Elizabeth, is right here with us today because she lives here in the Phoenix area. Yay. And she founded this organization. She started down this path again as a mother who lost her beloved son, Morgan. And nobody ever wants to get that phone call. But now she's showing parents, thousands of them now, it's growing all the time, all over the world. Your kids are still with you. And unlike other bereavement groups where they don't even allow a discussion of the afterlife, the beautiful part about Helping Parents Heal is they encourage it. I just spoke to a group in Tampa, a relatively new chapter. It started in June. The Tampa chapter of Helping Parents Heal. Chapters all over the country now, led by parents who have started this. And I talked to them the other night, and I said, as they start every meeting, this is a group we'd wish we never had to form. This is a group who never wished they would have to get together. But their meetings are not sad and teary and woe is us. Their meetings are, we are celebrating the fact that our kids are still with us. They smile. There's camaraderie. She's with another dear friend that I met, Lynn, also lost her son. They're sitting there smiling and beaming because they know that their kids are still with us. And the fact that we acknowledge that makes them happy.
All right, well, that's a pretty amazing clip that she's showing, and how your organization encourages people to talk about the afterlife, which many organizations don't, and she has brought that up. Now, how exactly did it all get started?
Well, after Morgan transitioned at the base camp of Mount Everest, I looked for bereavement groups that would talk. I actually, when he transitioned, I felt him hug me from the inside.
Now, he died of
Altitude sickness.
altitude sickness, and they called you and said,
Well, I was very fortunate because I was able to talk to his roommate on the phone. He told me, Miss Boisson, I don't think that he's going to survive. And I said, please, Colin, put the phone up to his ear. And I told Morgan at that time, we love you, we're proud of you, and don't be afraid. And immediately when I told him this, I felt him hug me. And this was totally new to me because I had never experienced any of this before. And so,
however, you had lost another child earlier.
Yes, I'm sorry, and I didn't bring
okay,
her up.
it's
I
no
want
problem,
to pay
yes.
tribute to her.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought her up.
The reason that she's important, Chelsea, who passed away 2 days after she was born when I was living in France, is that I think that she helped me start on my spiritual journey. And I think that she is part of the reason that I was able to feel Morgan so quickly.
In interviewing a lot of people, I've been a therapist for many years, and so has Heidi. We've interviewed thousands of people, and we find that the people who've had an early trauma, if they've dealt with it, they seem to be able to, it's like climbing Mount Everest. You've been a little ways up the peak, and I think losing a kid, really takes you to the top of the mountain.
You're more, like you said, you're more open.
Well, I
You're
was more open to all of the signs that were coming in. But immediately when it happened, I wanted to find other parents who had the same thing that was happening. I wanted to talk to other parents who were connecting with their kids. And I wasn't able to find any bereavement groups at the time that allowed us to talk about the afterlife and the connection that we felt with our kids. And so I started a Facebook group a week after. But we also expanded to have groups of helping siblings heal because we realized that it's almost harder for children who have experienced this in their lives to have a sibling pass, because of the fact that they first have to heal their parents before they can heal themselves.
We always find it's hard to get siblings to
Interact.
blow them out of the house.
It is, but we also have Zoom conference
nice.
meetings, and those are online.
Part of the reason it's hard to get siblings involved is because it's hard for us to see our parents in a lot of pain and grieving.
Yeah.
And we want to be strong for them. Society really does tell siblings. They whisper in our ears. You guys aren't saying it. The world is saying be strong for your parents. They've been through a very hard loss. The worst loss is a child. That's what we're hearing. And our idea of being strong is not showing you how we're feeling.
But at the same time, it's really difficult because
Understandable.
they don't want to be identified as that person
Exactly.
who has a sibling who's passed. And so by making it available in terms of doing it on the internet, I think
that.
it's a little easier.
I know people are going to want to hear you too and your experiences. So let's talk to you, Ernie, about your books. You have messages from Quinton. Was that your first one?
That was our first book.
Yep.
It was.
So what was your first message, and did you have any belief in this kind of thing before he died?
That's a great question. No.
Okay.
I had no clue. I was totally, completely focused on providing for my family and working.
And what kind of work did you do?
I was a commercial property manager at the time. This accident happened.
Was he killed suddenly, or?
Yeah, it was very suddenly. We were 30 feet off the side of the road. They measured. A young lady fell asleep. She was 21 on a curve and entered where we were on the passenger side, where my wife and I were standing, and hit both my wife and I. Our son Quinton, who was between the back of the Suburban and the front of the hitch trailer, after Amanda's her name. We've gotten to know her, and we can talk about that if you want.
Oh, yes, for sure.
Amanda hit the Suburban with so much force it violently moved, and he got tossed
That's a
between
lot
the
of force
two.
because the Suburban is a big car.
He died immediately. But he began to visit 30 hours later. And I didn't know it worked that way. It was 5 days after that it pierced my consciousness through another event that my son's not dead. And that's what I'm all about. That's why we all work together, is that moment, for me.
What was the moment?
It was a medicine man had approached a group, a friend of ours who was there to support us, and said, "The little boy just sent me to find you."
Wow.
And there was more to it, but she rushed to the hospital to tell us. And it was at that moment, and actually I was in a dark place at that moment, which we have those dark places.
Of course.
But it pierced my consciousness 5 days after, and what a gift. 5 days after, for it to pierce my consciousness and know that my son's not dead.
Body's gone, but he's not gone.
Right, and I didn't know.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of my particular situation, and my wife's particular situation is, I didn't know it worked that way. So
Right.
when it pierced my consciousness in this dark moment that he's not dead, you couldn't shut me up for a good 4 or 5 years. I would literally walk up to strangers and talk about this. No joke.
How did your wife deal with it?
It took her, she believed in this before more so than I did, but she was getting signs. It took her a little bit longer because of the amount of pain that she was in, but she gets the signs.
And maybe I'm wrong. I think that more women would be open to the signs than men. Am I wrong about that?
I think generally speaking, I think that's probably true.
Okay.
And that's, I'll be candid. If it wasn't for Quinton getting through to me, my wife will tell you. She says, you got the sign so fast, sweetheart, because you needed it.
Yeah.
Because I was all ready to go into a black hole. I was all ready to be consumed with anger. 5 days in.
Yeah.
So, through the grace of God, or
That's
whatever you
amazing.
want to call it,
Yeah.
he got through to me, and it sent me on a rocket ride, and I'm still riding
Okay,
the rocket.
now people are listening, and they still are not exactly sure. How does he communicate with
Yeah.
you now?
Yeah.
Okay, the first time, 30 hours after he transitioned, he
Yeah.
was holding my hand. And I'm in a room by myself, knowing my hand is being held. There was another time, it was about 2.5 months after, I heard him call my name. I was awake. There was another time after that, I saw him in his bedroom. I was awake. And then he came to me in a dream visit about 4 months after he transitioned that rocked my world. It was so vivid. It was so lifelike. I thought it was real. These are all catchphrases, catch terms for those
Right.
in the audience who have had dreams like that.
Right.
He influenced hummingbirds. He influenced a deer to visit us. And I can't even remember all the different ways he's come to us.
Well, we're going to be getting back to all this, but talk about how you got involved in this and what your experience was.
I was in such a terrible, dark place when my daughter passed. We lived in New Jersey, and Carly was diagnosed and passed about 4 months after her
Wow.
diagnosis, after treatment that was very difficult. When she passed, and I never thought she would pass because I believed that if I prayed and that God would never take my only child from me, but when she passed, I just wanted to join her.
Right.
That was
Yeah.
my experience. And my husband, who is not Carly's dad, we were newly married, and he was widowed, and my mantra became, Tony can't be widowed twice. And that's literally what I
Wow,
said
that
every
chills.
day. My sister is a therapist, specializing in trauma, and we did a lot of trauma work.
I think that it's very traumatic to lose
And
a child.
I truly
and a sibling,
just
for that matter.
believe that that love that I had with Carly could not die. It
Yeah.
had to be somewhere. And I now believe that death is nothing more than the death of the physical body. So I put my mind to researching about finding a medium to connect with Carly, and made an appointment with a very famous medium, George Anderson.
Yeah.
And I set my intention that if all I wanted to know was that Carly was okay, and she wasn't frightened when she passed. And I sat with him, and he looked at me and knew that I had a daughter that crossed, and said, she wants you to stop obsessing about her passing. It was as easy as walking through a doorway.
Wow.
And it changed my life. She manipulates Pandora radio station.
I love
Our
it.
song is Somewhere Over the Rainbow by the Hawaiian singer,
Oh, I
and
love
I hear it all the time.
I love that
and
song.
Now, how long has it been?
It'll be 5 years in February.
I think you said something that's really important, and I want everybody who's feeling really desperate to hear what you just said. You said you figured that your husband could not lose another wife. The thing is, if you can find a why, you're going to get through it.
And even one person to stay on the earth for.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we don't want to stay for ourselves because we want to join. I wanted to join Scott.
Yeah.
You know, and one of the things that kept me here was that my parents couldn't lose another child. Again, that was the reason, because I really didn't want to be here after he had died. So
And then finding Helping Parents Heal just
yeah, I was
changed my
going to
life.
ask you both how you found Elizabeth and Helping Parents Heal.
I read every book that there is on the afterlife, on bereavement, on loss, and I read a book by Mark Ireland, who's the co-founder of Helping Parents Heal, and he talked about Helping Parents Heal, and I contacted Elizabeth and became good friends and talked to her for probably a good 6 months before she convinced me that I was capable of starting my own chapter, which I did in Hilton Head.
So Irene, you have your own chapter. In
Yes, I
Hilton
do.
Head.
I
Wow,
have
that's great.
and I moved to a new community.
Yeah. And Ernie, how about you?
My wife and I, we left Colorado about 3 years after Quinton transitioned. At that point, Quinton's message had already been published, and I'd already been speaking and sharing and burning bright. And a friend of mine told me about Helping Parents Heal, and I showed up to a meeting, and can't get rid of me now.
Now, you're in Arizona.
I'm in Arizona now.
Okay, so you two are in the Phoenix
Phoenix?
area.
Yeah.
Phoenix, and he also comes to the Cave Creek meetings, and he's going to be at the Tucson meeting tomorrow. There's a Tucson
that's
meeting
great.
actually
Yeah, I bounce
tomorrow,
all over
which
the
is
place.
Love it.
wonderful. So he goes all over the place, and he also goes back to Colorado. But
I think we have over 10,000 members now.
yeah,
Is that
10,000
correct?
Yeah.
members now.
That's great. And you're looking for people to open new chapters?
Yes, definitely. But I'd like to get back to Irene because she's not only the Hilton Head affiliate leader, she's also obviously on the board, but she's also our conference chair. And it's amazing, this conference. I know that you guys are aware of it, but I just wanted to say that
Yes.
before we go forward.
Tell us
because-
where it is and when it is and a little bit about the conference.
April 13th to 15th of
Okay.
2018 in the Embassy Suites, Phoenix, Scottsdale.
Awesome. And we're going to be there.
We
Yes.
will.
Yes.
Because we're going to bring our crew and make some videotapes.
We are. We're going to
Nice.
videotape a lot of the people, you guys, and a lot of the people that will be there. We're really excited to do it.
Yeah.
We know a lot of people that are going to be there. I looked at your lineup. You have a great lineup.
Yes.
So anyone out there, please go to this incredible healing event. I mean, it looks like it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you a little bit, Elizabeth, about the fact that you're a yoga teacher, which I think is kind of key, because my daughter's Heidi's sister owns a yoga studio, and I know that she does some meditation, and I know you are interested in meditation and in intuition and trusting your own intuition.
Yes, and I think it's so important. That's part of this whole organization, is learning how to connect with our kids in spirit, because all of us, every single one of us, is capable of connecting with our kids. And there are a lot of things that we can do to accelerate that. And one of them is by practicing yoga. One of them is practicing meditation. And I think that we all meditate. We all do as much as we can to be able to calm ourselves, because I think that one of the things that keeps us from being able to be in touch with our kids the most in the very beginning is that deep, deep grief that is like a wall that doesn't allow us to see the signs that are coming in, because the signs come in all the time. And our kids, especially in the very beginning, sometimes those signs are extremely evident, and I think they take a lot of energy on the part of these kids who are sending these messages, because they know how deep in grief their parents are. As we are able to start healing and moving forward, I think the signs become a little bit more gentle. And but the different signs that Ernie was talking about are some that are very typical, and obviously with animals, with numbers, with getting a cell phone call from your son or daughter's phone number that you answer, and there's no one there, but getting text messages from them as well, through electronics, through things happening, lights flashing in the house, pictures of your child falling off the wall for no apparent reason, just to let you know that they're there. But I hold yoga for healing grief twice a week, and I do it at 2 different libraries for the parents who are part of our group.
I love that.
And I love it. I love it because of the fact that I can see the way that it helps immediately, and I'll be doing the same thing at the conference.
Okay, you need to get that message out there about the yoga, because I think that if you, there would be standing room only. There wouldn't even be room in that room if everybody knew about that, because I think it would be so incredible for anyone that's had a loss to go to those kind of things.
Well, I was lucky, because at the Compassionate Friends conference that I was helping at 2 years ago, they allowed me to do 5 different yoga classes, and every yoga class was packed, and it was just so much fun to do this with all of these parents.
I think I'm taking actually a compassionate caring program at Stanford, which is based on meditation, and one of the interesting things about it is they show research, and they're doing a lot of research at Stanford now, showing what happens with the frontal lobe and the amygdala, and how you can calm those connections in the brain so that you don't just jump to fear and panic and fight and flight, but through meditation and through yoga. So that is a pretty interesting aspect of it. But I think one of the things that is very difficult for newly bereaved parents is the monkey mind. And sometimes you have to keep moving. It's people shouldn't get too discouraged if they can't. And maybe speaking mantras, saying something like, may I be happy and peaceful, may I be safe, may I be filled with loving kindness, may I live easily, or may my child be safe, may my child, saying, actually having words to say to fill that crazed event that's going on in your brain,
Well,
can
if
be
I
helpful.
can just say something very quickly also, there's a free app that you can download called Headspace on your phone, and it was actually created by a Buddhist monk who actually initially was, he's British, he was living in England, he had a family member pass, and so he went to Tibet, he became a monk, and then now he's created this incredible app. Start out 3 minutes a day. It's so easy. He walks you through it. Has a beautiful voice too. It's so fun to listen to that British accent. So it's a very easy way. It's free, and to start meditation actually.
So what about it? Can I start a chapter in my neighborhood? What's the? This show is going to be international. I mean, what can I do? I want to
What's
do Helping
necessary?
Parents Heal.
Well, it's interesting because I don't think that there's any time period that you have to have already gone through to be able to start a chapter. I think that it all depends on the way that you're feeling yourself. Obviously, I started mine a week after Maureen
Yeah.
passed. Not everybody's ready to do that, but Irene is also our affiliate
Okay.
director. So if anyone is interested in becoming an affiliate leader, then it would be wonderful for them to get in touch with her. And if her email is just irene@helpingparentsheal.org, which is fairly
Okay,
easy.
so Irene at helpingparentsheal.org, and you can think about starting a chapter. And are there some? I can go to the national conference.
We also have a newsletter that comes out every
Okay.
month. I actually publish the newsletter, and the newsletter is filled with stories of validation. So we have parents who send in validation stories, meaning stories about amazing things that have happened
Right.
because of their children. And Ernie also writes a column.
All right.
We have several other very wonderful writers who write columns as well.
And we have a large Facebook presence. We have a Facebook group, Helping Parents Heal, and also an online group.
That's great.
Awesome.
And the online group has many different wonderful speakers who speak about 4 times a month. So even if you aren't in a physical location where there's a group, you can go online and be part
Okay,
of
so
the
go to
meetings.
helpingparentsheal.org if you want to hear more from these folks. And Heidi, it's a great show, huh?
Absolutely, it is, and I love that we're having this topic because I think sometimes when you hear these stories, the professional community, the medical community, can pathologize some of this and act like there's something wrong with people that are connecting. And the reality is, this is a very positive thing, and and the more we become open to it, the more it will happen. And like you said, our loved ones physically aren't here, but they are with us. We have a continuing bond with them.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being on the
thank
show
you.
today.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us on.
And thank you for watching this show today. And always, Heidi and I want to remind you that if you've lost hope, please visit us at opentohope.com, and please lean on ours until you find your own. And God bless.